Hey there, Agile Adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday, the big question of the week, this week with Mohini Kissoon. Hey, Mohini, welcome back.
Thank you, Vasco.
So Thursday is Success Thursday, where we explore what success means for Scrum Masters, which is very much in line with what we discussed yesterday. So I invite everybody to go and listen to the Wednesday episode because it's very relevant to the success question as well. But before we dive into that, share with us, Mohini, what is your favorite Agile retrospective format and why?
I must say it's the timeline. So I find myself returning to it more than any other, especially when a team has been going through something very complex, a difficult sprint, a major release, or I'm just running a retro, a quarterly one with a working group. So having the timeline that really helps the people to get that time to reflect what has happened during the last however period, rather than simply jumping into, okay, so what do we change next? So how it works usually, if I'm facilitating in a room, I will just draw a line on the whiteboard and invite people to, with sticky notes, to mention what were some of the key things that really stood out for them during that period. And then if it's virtual, so I use a whiteboard. So those moments that they want to call out could be good, could be bad, confusing or stressful, but anything that stood out for them, whatever they felt significant. And we do that silently at first, so everyone had the space to think on their own without being influenced. Then we walk through the timeline together. Chronologically, and people share their stories behind their notes as well. And what makes this format powerful is that it creates that shared understanding before asking for solutions. And we also see each other's different perspective for the same event. Maybe they didn't realize that others had experienced this a different way. So it's good to see those patterns emerging that nobody saw on their own. So for me, the time also slows the team down to just allow enough time to process everything that has happened. Because sometimes we are in our day-to-day job, things are happening very quickly, and it's only when we stop and reflect and then see how much we have achieved over the past few, however period, then we realize how much we have done. And because we tend to sometimes focus on the negative without really seeing like we have achieved so much during that time. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that ability to kind of stop and look back, it brings that shared understanding, which I totally agree. But it also gives us the opportunity to kind of recognize what we have done, right? Like so often we're so busy with the work that is right there in front of us that we forget to sit down and actually feel the success of the work that we have done in the past, right? And I think that the timeline retrospective really helps to also open that conversation, right? Like feeling the success of the work that we've done together. I really like that.
Yeah. So there's also one more aspect. Sorry if I may. With the timeline, we just have to be very, it's a powerful tool, but it can be very overwhelming as well. Like when you see all these stickies or everything that that's is on the board, and then when you ask people, okay, so what do we do next? Instead of moving straight to from the timeline to the actions, I feel there is the need to build a bridge in between before just asking people, what do we do next? And that bridge is in terms of getting them to have a look at the board and try to identify patterns, and then to vote for the ones that they would like to discuss and elaborate more on. And based on the items that they vote, then we derive some concrete actions out of it, because we still want to get actions out of our retro, so that it's not just a retro that we've done and then there's no actions after it. So really helping team to take ownership as well of what they want to change.
Yeah, and that bridge aspect is very important because, as you say, it can feel very overwhelming, especially if you do a timeline retrospective for a long period of time, like a whole delivery or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But talking about success, we should focus on the success of Scrum Masters. We kind of touched on the topic yesterday on the coaching episode, but now we would like to focus on how you define success for yourself, Mohini, as a Scrum Master.
For me, I look at it in three different aspects. First, if I see my team taking ownership of their work, taking ownership of the Scrum events, asking questions, challenging each other constructively without waiting for me to be asking those questions. I think that's something which I'm very proud of, that I don't have to intervene, so I can have a look and observe the dynamics, how things are going through. And because then that I see, oh, this is the conditions that I have shaped for the team to work together. They are confident and ready to start taking ownership of their success, and they feel comfortable as well to be challenging each other. The second thing is, for me, is around having metrics where I can use to show that there has been improvement. So that's one of the success things for me as well. Like if I'm looking at how the team has improved over time for the past quarter or so, and how it's been, how they have evolved, and I can share that with them and with leadership as well, that actually shows that I have made a difference in a positive impact that I've created with the team. That was the second aspect of being able to show that success. And third, I think I've already mentioned it, but it's still like in terms of creating that psychological safety within teams, and for them to be comfortable with each other, to disagree, and to have that healthy conflict as well, without taking things personally, but they are open to ask questions, and it's a very good environment where you can have innovation or being creative as well.
Yeah, that conflict and innovation is actually quite an important perspective. We didn't talk about it when we talked on Tuesday about the conflict, because conflict brings energy, right? Like, of course, and it's not easy. That's why it's hard, because it brings a lot of energy, and that may feel overwhelming or threatening even, right? But there's no innovation without that energy, that energy that comes from conflict, that ultimately is then channeled, turned into a positive source of energy, right? Like, because if it's conflict in terms of destructive conflict, that's not good for anyone anyway, no matter how we may try to bring that in a controlled way. So we're talking about conflict that may start as opposing directions, but then suddenly turns into similar direction, right? Like it's us against the challenge, not us one against the other.
Exactly. So working together and not against each other as well. That reminds me, one more thing is the language of the team. It's how was their language before I joined the team and how it is now. So in terms of, instead of saying their sprint goal, they would say things like our sprint goal. So it's still that sense of ownership and how they understand the different concepts that I've taught the team as well, and the language that they're using when they're referring to all these different concepts.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that. It's such an easy thing to look at, but it's so often missed, the type of words, the type of constructions that they choose to use, like the sprint goal versus our sprint goal. That's a very clear example, because that shows that level of ownership, as you referred to. And I think that's it's a great red flag or green flag, depending on the language, for us to focus on as Scrum Master. So thank you for sharing that, Mohini.
Pleasure, Vasco.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you, the members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.